9.75 out of 10 times when a woman says she has low milk or her baby's not doing well, we train the baby, Greer. This is not popular. I don't know why.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Spoil Your Baby podcast. I am so happy to be here today with Sara Chana. She has so much wonderful expertise for us as a very experienced doula, lactation consultant, and master herbalist as well. Welcome, Sara.
Thank you, Greer. And also mother of 7. I have 5 boys and 2 girls. So when I teach, I try not to speak about my personal experience, more my clinical, but just let everybody know I've had lots of sleepless nights, feeling overwhelmed, feeling rushed and challenged. So I'm with everyone out there.
Yeah, we love the personal experience here. You bring it all. But we know you have so much clinical experience as well too for us to learn from, which is so amazing. I love it. So let's talk about, supporting moms through pregnancy, birth, lactation, postpartum, and how some of your expertise can help out with that.
So I'd like your audience to know, besides being a mother of 7, I'm an international board certified lactation consultant. And for over 3 decades, I've helped over 45,000 mothers and babies breastfeed. I'm also a master herbalist and a classical homeopath, which means we study anatomy, physiology, disease process, childhood development. And we, in my training, do botanical plant-based medicine as opposed to pharmaceutical. Now, before we begin, I always say, Greer, that if someone needs an antibiotic or a steroid or an inhaler, we are not against conventional medicine. Most really trained herbalists know that these are also fantastic tools. What we try to do is find plant-based options first, because there are really little to no side effects ever. If your child's having an asthma attack, you go for your albuterol and steroids for sure. But then in the recovery stage, Western medicine doesn't have a lot to offer, but herbs do, because we've had spasm of the lungs and the bronchi, and we can really soothe that experience down and then prevent another one. So I kind of straddle both fences, and I think that's really important for your listeners to know.
Absolutely. I love to hear that. And, Western medicine doesn't have much for promoting our health and for preventative health either, right? And so that's where this can really help support us being well in so many ways.
Even Greer, when I have a woman that hemorrhages postpartum, thank God you're in a hospital. I'd rather you be in a hospital than in the backwoods. But then after that woman hemorrhaged, the sad thing is doctors don't say, well, what do we do to prevent it next time? And why did this woman hemorrhage? And literally they go to their 6-week postpartum as if nothing happened. And even, Greer, during pregnancies, women can be very low in iron. It's very common in America to have low iron. So the second these women give birth, they're like, okay, I'm done with my iron. I'm like, wow. How could you have recovered? Like 3 weeks ago, you were very anemic. Now you gave birth. So this is kind of the problem that we have, that women in between pregnancies don't prep for their next pregnancy. After they finish a pregnancy, there's not a healing protocol for what they experienced during their pregnancy or their birth. And that's what an IBCLC lactation consultant, doula like myself, and herbalist, it's the whole picture. Let's look at everything. Amazing. Let's look at your behaviors before getting pregnant, during pregnant, after, and let's create an environment that you can be the healthiest that the mom can be. And that's different, Greer, for everybody. Some people struggle with weight. Some people are pre-diabetic. Some women don't have a lot of strength, but we have to aim for the optimum health for that person. Individualized care.
Yeah. Completely. Even the example of iron that you gave, right? We see that come up in so many ways. I had low iron during my pregnancy. I used herbs to support myself. We see that even showing up postpartum for moms and babies, right? And that affects their sleep. It affects their energy. It affects so many different things, just as one nutrient, right? Just one nutrient.
Yeah. And
That's
people
so important.
forget. And it's like our OBs can give us great care during the pregnancy, but we're kind of dropped.
Yeah.
And really, so interesting. I was invited, and I don't know that this is still the protocol, but I was invited, and I had too many kids. I had 7 kids to go speak and teach in China and then the Philippines. And the Philippines had established this. And again, I don't know if it's here today, that the first 6 weeks postpartum, they had a woman come in every day to take care of the mother, every day to take care of the baby. Massages were available for the mother and the baby. And they found that when they focused in on these 6 weeks postpartum for the mother and the baby, that they spent much less money on care throughout the next 2 years. Amazing. And that is just not part of our American culture at all, which it should be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So let's talk about all the stages and how we can support mothers. Let's talk about pregnancy first. What are some things that pregnant people can do to support themselves?
So I'm an herbalist. That means that I teach people how to safely use herbs. You and I were discussing before the show that people are afraid of herbs. They're afraid of herbs.
I remember when I was pregnant, it was hard to even tell what tea I could have, right? Like, it was like, can I have chamomile? Can I have mint teas? What could I have? And I was really lucky. I had the support of a lot of doula friends. I was a doula at the time with a big community, and my friends would blend me beautiful teas that were high in iron and other minerals and important things. But I did also have to get through that hurdle of fear because, it's hard to get that information.
So right? in our Materia Medica, which is like the physician desk reference of pharmaceuticals, onions and garlic are considered an herb. So when you're making a chicken soup, I've never heard in 32 years of practice, someone's like, I only put in 2 onions, not 4, because I wanted to limit my herbal intake of onions, right? Or you know what? Yeah. The recipe called for 5 cloves of garlic. I only put in 2. So onions and garlic are considered herbs. You can have as much parsley as you want during your pregnancy. It can slow down your milk, by the way, postpartum. Sage and parsley are 2 herbs you can use, but in moderation. But in pregnancy, you can have cilantro, you can have dill, you can have parsley, you can have all these herbs that we're not afraid of. But then we get a little skeptical when we talk about the other herbs, which are the same plant. So for instance, the herb nettle tea. It's a green plant. It's one of the highest plants in iron and trace minerals and vitamins. And nettle tea you're not going to OD on it. I mean, like how many cups of tea can you drink a day? 2, maybe 3. Yeah. And the one thing about taking herbs is you can remember on a Monday, Tuesday, forget on a Wednesday, Thursday, do it again on Saturday and Sunday, meaning if you take an antibiotic, you're supposed to take it for 7 to 10 days straight. And if you stop, you're not necessarily supposed to retake it. With herbs, oh my gosh, you can take it for a week, forget for a week. And what it does is it replenishes your body. So nettles is fantastic during pregnancy. I want to jump to an herb called skullcap. So the way I use herbs is I find that my American clients don't drink herb tea as much as in India or England or other places in the world. So I tend to use what is called a tincture. A tincture is a liquid form of the herbs. And I'm going to explain it. You take an herb, like here I have the herb rose, which is for sadness and grief. And you pour grain alcohol over it into a glass jar and you let it sit for 6 to 8 weeks. Then you strain it and you get an herb called a tincture. The reason I suggest for women and pregnant women, it is in a grain alcohol base. So you don't want to drink a lot of alcohol when you're pregnant, but we're talking 35 drops, or you can get it in a glycerite. And you can take this herb quickly, efficiently. So I'm showing right here a shot glass, and you can take the tincture, put in 35 drops, add a little grape juice, take a quick shot of it, boom, and go your merry way. So with tea, if you're a tea drinker, it's fantastic, but it's much more of a production. Whereas tincture is quick and efficient. So skullcap, which I started, is for nervous anxiety. So I'm sure not many of your listeners out there have nervous anxiety. But
I've never heard of anyone having anxiety during this time.
So like I always had nervousness and anxiety, especially because I have 5 boys in a row. And when they would come home from school at 4:00, you got to know, I would down my skullcap. They'd be punching each other, beating each other up. I'd be like, am I a terrible parent? And then they would put their arms around each other and walk into the other room. It was just a boy thing, right?
Yeah.
So skullcap can take the edge off of anxiety. It's in the mint family, safe while pregnant, safe while breastfeeding. And I don't know why every single woman in the world doesn't know about skullcap. You have PTA, you're anxious, you can't fall asleep, you take skullcap. You know you're going to be stuck in traffic. You're going to the orthodontist, to the dentist, your kid's getting a cavity. Oh my God. Like, I can't think of many reasons why you don't need skullcap.
Amazing.
Easy, inexpensive. You can get it in a tincture or a tea. Take, again, we can't diagnose or treat here, but 25 to 35 drops diluted 3 times a day. It doesn't make you sleepy, Greer, and it just takes the edge off life's challenges.
I love it. I'm going to get some myself. I've been growing some herbs myself. I have nettle growing in my garden right now and a bunch of other different herbs as well. So I kind of have the hobby bit going, but I'm not getting too ambitious about how much I'm going to get. So I also, buy things as well. So
sure. And
that's exciting.
I want people to know, people say that herbs are not regulated, and we're going back to the fears. So I'm going to mention 2 companies. Again, I'm not representing anything, Greer. I'm really just here to educate.
Yeah, no, it's good for us to know.
But like, there's a company called Herbalist and Alchemist, and a company called Herb Farm and Wish Garden Herbs. Those are the 3 most available.
Cool.
People from the FDA are in there all the time, making sure the plant is clean and organized, which it is. Each of these companies check for lead, pesticides, and the most important thing is to make sure the genus of the plant is correct. Because just because you're getting it from India or Japan, which I just was, by the way, or in both those places, doesn't mean necessarily in the travel it didn't get mixed up. So they check to make sure it's the plant. So when you buy herbs from these type of companies, they are cleaner than most of the food in our grocery stores. Herbalists are very strict. They're not going to sell you a product unless it's top notch. So to fear this, really, you can call the company. Always make sure that there's a master herbalist like myself. I'm an AHG, American Herbalist Guild, overseeing the product, and then you are good to go. I just want everyone to know there's really no fears, and any of the poisonous or toxic herbs are not being sold on the market, and they're not going to be sold from these companies because there are mushrooms that are poisonous. There are plants that are poisonous, sure, but not the plants that they're going to sell to the public. They're just not.
Amazing. So pregnancy, nettle's great, skullcap's great. Sounds like skullcap's great for somebody's entire motherhood journey, which is wonderful. What about postpartum?
Okay, so
what about
valerian? Also, in Russia and Ukraine, valerian was the top sold herb. It's safe while pregnancy. With valerian, some people are fabulous with it and some people are not. I always want to say that. For people that do well with valerian, it's also calming and soothing to the central nervous system for anxiety and stress. Some people will get a little agitated. Don't ever take the herb again. But 9 out of 10 people will feel calm, not sedated, and it can take the edge off that anxiety. And skullcap and valerian and nettles are also good postpartum, which you just brought up.
Wonderful.
But my favorite herb postpartum, and I feel there should be an IV on every corner in the world. You're having a hard day. You don't take the IV. I'm kidding. You take motherwort. Motherwort is for gloominess and sadness. When like everything's okay, Greer, but you see that black cloud descending, you're like, no, don't ever take me. And it's like, and you're dark. you're gloomy, you're sad, you're sitting with a baby that's healthy, you're sitting with a baby you love, and you like can't stop crying. That's motherwort. Motherwort
Cool.
takes the edge off of gloominess. It allows you to push away that black cloud, totally safe while postpartum and breastfeeding. They say it's not the top choice for pregnancy. I don't feel it's dangerous, but there are so many other herbs. But postpartum, Greer, skullcap for anxiety mixed with motherwort for sadness, you got the best thing going.
I love it. That's so helpful for everyone listening. Amazing. Any tips for lactation? What are some good herbs for that will help lactation?
So when we're doing lactation, we're never giving herbs to build the milk or change the quality of the breast milk. Cool. Basically, breast milk under a microscope looks exactly the same, whether you're eating Indian food or food from Japan or anywhere, doesn't matter. As long as you're eating protein 3 times a day and vegetables, occasionally a fruit, and lowering your grains, but having them to stay full, you're treating the person. So if the woman was a little low thyroid during her pregnancy, but she didn't need medicine, you could take an herb called ashwagandha, which is a very popular herb from India, Ayurvedic medicine. And that is like food for the thyroid. If a woman has a postpartum sinus infection and she doesn't want to take antibiotics because you can get a yeast infection, she can take an herb called yerba santa. So when women are breastfeeding, I'm not treating the milk. I'm treating the woman. So there's a lot of products out there. Oh my God, more milk, enrich your milk. No, you don't need to enrich your milk. You need the mother to keep it together so she can nurse on demand, have patience for her baby, but her breast milk is fine. Fine. I mean, I don't know if I'd love you to go to McDonald's 3 times a day, right? Try to eat healthy, pure food as much as you can, but your milk is fine, Greer, fine.
Yeah, your body will take all the best of the nutrients you have for your milk, and we're giving the mother nutrients, right, and replenishing her.
If I could jump in, so if anybody out there didn't breastfeed, don't feel bad. I was telling Greer before the interview that I also help babies bottle feed properly. But here's the thing: 9 3/4 out of 10 times, when a woman says she has low milk or her baby's not doing well, we train the baby, Greer. This is not popular. I don't know why. Babies sometimes can be low tone, have an inability to coordinate, suck, swallow, breathe. They may be a little lackadaisical on the breast. So 99 3/4% of the time, we in my office are working on training the baby to get the strength to breastfeed. We rarely have to look at the mom unless her diet is horrible. But I want to just throw out that if you had a difficult experience with breastfeeding and want to breastfeed the next, you find a lactation consultant that's going to work on training the baby to nurse. Not part of our culture.
Yeah, absolutely. I when I was a doula, I had a lactation consultant built into my plan so that every single person had somebody coming to their house to help them out, because we need it. We really do, especially someone who's really, conscious and holistic in their approach.
Short nipples, long nipples, large areolas, small areolas, large breasts, small breasts. We don't really analyze them, but I will have a woman, Greer, that has a flat nipple. She had no idea because she never saw her friend's nipples and she didn't have sisters. She didn't even know. In the 9 months of pregnancy, she didn't know that she might need a nipple shield because her nipples are so flat. And she sits in my office going, why didn't anybody tell me? And I'm like, I don't know, but they should have. So sometimes it's not even the baby and it's not the mother not trying. It's just the physical structure. And we have to work on that. And we just have to teach them what to do. Pretty easy to fix.
Absolutely. Yeah. I've seen so many different cases because one of my really good friends is a lactation consultant, and they're miraculous, right? Like, I think that she could get nearly anyone, going with lactation. And so if someone's listening and they really are planning on breastfeeding or in that situation, finding a good person there will be a solution.
And we spend a lot of time. I don't know
everything.
about your friend, but my consultations are 1.5 hours. Most of our doctors and even midwives, we're lucky if we get 6 minutes with them. When I work with a woman, Greer, it's like we're there an hour and a half. I always feel like I need more time. And my daughter, who's also an LC and works with me, is like, Ma, you have to shorten your consultations. I'm like, well, can't we double them? Because by the time I understand, is the woman right-handed or left-handed? Is she coordinated or not coordinated? It's so funny. I remember I was working with a woman once and she went to latch on the baby and like, she couldn't get the hole in one. Like it would be up on her chest. She was the most uncoordinated person. So her husband was in the other room. I walked with her. I said, I don't mean to be rude, but did you ever notice like I have to help a little coordination? He goes, I would never let my wife drive. She cannot play tennis and she is totally uncoordinated. I didn't want to speak badly, but like he said, you got to talk slowly to her and work on her coordination. My next hour was just working on coordination. Nothing's wrong with her as a person. She's just not naturally coordinated. So how could she with a crying baby and a wiggling baby? We wrapped up that baby so the baby's arms were not flying. I made sure she had a lot of pillows around her to support her. I had her sit up straight and not lean back so you don't have the strength. And we really just focused in on how do we get that mouth onto the nipple. And she did it. She did it, but she couldn't do it just like in a casual way. She would have never been able to be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, it's unbelievable that you've worked with over 45,000 babies and moms. It's incredible. Incredible. Everyone who's been with you is so lucky. I love it. All right, let's talk about the next phase then. What about when our babies grow up a little bit, they're eating and consuming foods? Are there herbs that are safe for little kids?
Totally. And there's herbs that are safe for babies also. So herbs have been around for thousands of years. And in cultures outside the US, integrating herbs into their children's lives are just normal. It's completely normal. And we need to start normalizing it because we do have access to so many good quality herbs. So there's an herb called lemon balm, something, Greer, you can grow in your garden.
I have it.
It's in the mint family. It's calming and soothing. It's antiviral. It's a great herb to make into a tea and make into ice popsicles.
Cool.
If the child, over a year old, you can add a little honey and make these delicious ice pops. If they're under a year, you can add maple syrup or some other kind of sweetener. And if a child has a fever and not wanting to drink, a fun little lemon balm ice pop is fantastic. In the summer for hydration, you can make an herb called oats. It's the plant before oatmeal. You can get some oat tea, make it into ice cubes and add a little peppermint if you want. If the kids like that, squeeze a little lemon, put the ice cubes in their thermos for school, keep them super, super hydrated.
Nice.
Elderberry, you can make elderberry ice pops also. Get some elderberry syrup. You can mix it into a tea. There's a tea called linden, which helps with digestion, calming and soothing. You can make a linden elderberry ice pop for your kids because kids don't tend to like to drink warm tea. I've never seen them liking that. So elderberry is very high in vitamin C. Lemon balm is antiviral, calming and soothing, and catnip is fantastic for winter coughs. So you could give them a catnip tincture. They have them in glycerite, which is delicious. You can add it to a little bit of grape juice. And so catnip, linden, lemon balm, oats, these are all completely safe for children. Of course, check with your doctor, although they're not educated in it. And women have used them for just thousands of years, Greer. This is unusual to us, but common to the world around us.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love getting deeper into the world of herbs. I feel like the next big education kind of project I take on will be in this field because it is incredible to be, an active participant in your own health and your family's health and to be using these traditions that have been around for so long.
One thing that's so fascinating to me is I live in Brooklyn, New York, a concrete jungle, to be honest. And Herbs grow between the cracks of the concrete, in
That's right.
the alleyways, in gutters. And no matter what happens with global weather change, the herbs grow the same time. If we have a snowy winter or a warm winter, an early fall, a late fall, an early spring, no matter what happens to the climate, I see the same plants coming up, herbal plants, at the same time, Greer, and it's here for us all the time. And I'm always shocked. I mean, I try not to harvest my herbs in Brooklyn. It's too polluted. But in an emergency, there are so many edible plants that grow. I used to call them weed walks. Now I have to call them medicinal herb walks because my kids are like, Ma, you're not giving weed walks. No one's smoking weed. I'm like, well, they are on the street, but I'm not talking about it. So it's medicinal plant walks. And we walk like a 3-block radius in Brooklyn, 3 blocks. And you'll find 10 to 15 medicinal herbs. So it's kind of an interesting challenge for your listeners is they could just in their search bar say edible plants around me. Now, I'm not saying go eat them. It takes a while to identify.
Yeah.
But it's so fun with a kid, even 3, to show them the plants. I mean, my kids and grandkids love it, Greer. They love it. And we go down the street and I test them. What's the name of this plant? Is it edible? No. Like daffodils are not edible. They're poisonous. So we're not eating daffodils, but violets are completely edible. So I like my kids and grandkids, Greer, to start to understand their surroundings around them. Why not?
Oh yeah. My son absolutely loves plant identification. He loves it. A fun way to do it is you can kind of make like a sticky clipboard and they can take the leaves and flowers and stick them on and make it a game that way too. Is a really fun thing to do.
So fun. And Greer, we've spoken about so much. I just want your listeners to know that on my website, I have free handouts. I have a natural first aid kit for kids, and I have different downloadable sheets on edible plants and plants for emotional health and that's at sarachana.com. And Greer, I wrote a book called Moodtopia, which is behind me, and it's about herbs for women's health, emotional, sadness, grief, feeling overwhelmed. And this spring, I'm just starting to announce it, I have a book, Moodtopia for kids, where we talk about herbs specifically for the emotional health of kids so we can demystify it, let people stop being afraid of herbs and be familiar with what's available to their kids. So I'm really excited about that.
Incredible. I think it can be so intimidating. So having a really, well-trusted place to consult is so important for families.
And we're not selling products. When you're on Instagram, you can get a lot of great information, but a lot of the bloggers have to be supported, and they're supported by products. When I talk about different products on my website, I'm not representing a brand because, I could be foolish, Greer, but I don't, because I really want people to understand how they can incorporate it into their own lives. I'm not selling anybody a product. That's really important to know.
Wonderful. So if people want to find out more, sounds like you have tons of beautiful free resources on your website. We'll put your website in the show notes. And you also had an amazing offer for our listeners for another downloadable guide. Is that right?
So for this show, we're going to put up a downloadable, something that you can print or keep on your desktop on herbs for kids specifically. So they're so intimidating, like you said. So I talk about 4 or 5 herbs that are safe for, I would say, all our kids. But, if you have a kid with seasonal allergies or food allergies, like for instance, chamomile is in the ragweed family. So if you have a child with terrible seasonal allergies, chamomile, which we discussed before the show, is not the primary herb, but totally the mother that's breastfeeding can take it. So chamomile would not be the top herb, but like an herb called echinacea is. So I'm going to have that handout for your listeners so they can just have an easy guide to go to, and it's free.
Amazing. Well, thank you so, so much for being with us and bringing us into the world of herbs and lactation and all of these wonderful areas. I really appreciate it.
And if I could mention, if you don't mind, on Instagram, and I'm not in my 20s, but I do have an Instagram account.
Amazing.
It's at Sara Chana, SaraChanas. I put up tons of 1-minute videos on the plants and how to use them. So it's a real quick reference guide, and you can see the plants, what they look like, how to use them, really quick and simple. And I feel very informative.
I love it. I'm going to follow you right away, and we'll put that in our notes as well.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, Sara.